Killer Instinct Gold for the Nintendo 64. One of my favourite fighting games for the Nintendo 64. I don't know if it's going to be in front of or behind Mortal Kombat Trilogy. But maybe one day I'll make a video. In fact, I will be making a video. It's already in the works, so to speak. I'm a little bit behind with my content to say which one I actually prefer out of these two. But for this video, I'm going to be talking about some memories that I have of Killer Instinct Gold for the Nintendo 64 and how I feel about the game.
Ultimate Combo.
So when I very first played Killer Instinct Gold, outside of playing the game on the SNES, which was quite a few years beforehand, the SNES, you know, the Super Nintendo Entertainment System version of Killer Instinct, which was pretty much my introduction into the Killer Instinct games, one thing that really stood out to me above anything else, or two things, was the soundtrack and the main menu select screen. Honestly, it felt like being a kid in some sort of candy shop playing this game with the selected characters that you get to use as your combatants to fight against. And obviously playing games like Mortal Kombat around the same time, you can't help but notice there are some sort of similarities between the combat systems and how they fight. Also, along with the death and finishing moves and whatnot. I actually felt there was some sort of interesting lore between these characters of Killer Instinct and whatnot. One of my favourite characters, Saberwolf, who didn't really start out as one of my favourite characters, but he eventually grew on me, you know, because I really like the fact he's a wolf and he's pretty violent. But that's not the reason why I like him, because he's violent, no. I think I like him because he's got some sort of unique fighting style, Saberwolf, that I really grew upon. In fact, it might have been Saberwolf who actually completed the game with first, if I remember, because fighting Gargos was no easy feat, because he was a tough boss to beat. Like a lot of Nintendo 64 games, the level music, or the music from each level, really do have their own sort of flair and personality. I really do love the level design in this sort of 3D-ish sort of combat zone, or pseudo 3D-ish, whatever you want to call it. But I really do like and enjoy the finishing moves, the fighting styles, the character creations. Sometimes I used to have it in my head, some sort of fan-made movie project, which actor or actress would actually portray certain characters in this game if it ever got a cinematic release and whatnot. Or even, yeah, maybe a cinematic release, a live action, or maybe some sort of 3D animation sort of thing going on there. I think with the 3D action it could be a bit toned down a bit, unless it depends on how violent you want to depict it. Yep, so it was actually the combo breaker that I remember actually on this game as well. Combo breaker!
Combo Breaker!
Characters like Fulgore, I really like Fulgore, Jago, Orchid, Mayor, and Spinal. Man, the way that announcer really spoke about those, well, he didn't really speak about, but he pronounced those characters' names like as if they were like hitting every... gear them up, get ready for combat vibe inside your body, man. Killer Instinct Gold, you know, being a rated 15 game, not too bad. And I think I paid £30 for this, fully boxed. As you can tell, the box itself is, I've had it for quite some time and it's not really holding up after all these years. Sadly to say. But I've still got it in there. The game's in there, let me just show you guys. There it is, see? Killer Instinct still in its packaging, love it. Trying to take care of my box games and whatnot. I only have a few for the N64. So yeah, I remember playing this game back in the 90s and having a lot of fun with the game, you know, trying to just work my way through the game, playing it with other family members and or friends, trying to prove who's actually the best, and or just have fun with it if you can actually put up with people who are sore losers and whatnot. I know I've dealt with my fair share of that. I mean, other fighting games on the N64 such as Clay Fighter 63 and 3rd, Mortal Kombat Trilogy, yeah, Killer Instinct Gold, of course. Out of many other fighting games, these were the three fighting games that I mainly played back when I was living in the 90s, when I was living in London back in the day. And I just kept coming back to this one again and again and again. I mean, it could be the awesome soundtrack, could it be the amazing level design, could it be the characters and how distinctly different they are from one another, could it be a list of all three? Games were games back in the day, drawing me in to have so much fun with them. Regardless of how the game looks now, right, especially judging by today's standards, I don't do any of that nonsense. I play the game and I judge it by its own merits, regardless of how old the game is. But because I played this game back in my childhood, sometimes the nostalgia goggles can be a bit biased. But just because you love the game and you've got nostalgia for it, you can admit when the game has flaws, which I can't really think of any for this game. Other than the fact, I don't know, it would have been great to see a little few more characters and whatnot, maybe. But the difficulty of beating Gargos was really the main thrill. I mean, learning these different characters, I think the character who I didn't really play as much is definitely Tusk. I don't know, he just reminded me of Arnold Schwarzenegger or a young Dolph Lundgren for some reason. But I could never get to grips with him. Even though I did play with him, play as him, back in the day, quite a few times. Not as much as I would say Jago, Saberwolf, and other characters like Spinal. I really liked being Spinal as well. Man, Killer Instinct Gold, fantastic fighting game if you're into fighting games and whatnot. Did you play this game back in the day? So did you play Killer Instinct Gold back in the day? Let me know in the comment section what you think of it if you did. Still waiting on that day when this is going to be announced to be a movie. You know, we've got Mortal Kombat, so why not go for Killer Instinct? I don't know, will Microsoft give us that? I mean, it was Rare who made this game, wasn't it? But anyway, maybe time will tell. Thank you very much for watching, and may retro gaming live on.